Namaste, Galactic family. Come on into this dimension, guys. Be sure to subscribe, hit that notifications bell, and comment and share this video so that way others can find out about my work and the things that I talk about and all of the shenanigans and all of the crazy stuff that is going on at this time as we all try to make sense of it all, as we all try to integrate it and try to look at how we are going to overcome these digressive agendas. It's really crazy because many right now, unfortunately, are awakening through a lot of immunological breakdown due to these ever-pressing depopulation agendas, these ever-pressing attacks from these higher structural organizations and corporations that just do not have the everyday human being's best interest in mind, right? There's a massive eugenics program that's running. You know, they're not shy about it. They're not quiet about it. That's what the Georgia Guidestones there are for. That is what all of these World Economic Forum meetings with these top guys that are just blatantly telling you what they're doing. And it doesn't seem like there's any way to stop these corrosive anti-life architectures from running. And I really feel like it's because they have actually invaded the planetary Merkaba field. So remember that video that I put out where I was talking about the attacks on the mother arcing systems and how these are parasitic invasions in the mother arcing system? Well, I think it's more extensive than that. I think it's down the pillars through the main rod and staff and right into the Earth planetary Merkaba field. And they're actually running a reversal Merkaba. And that's the only way that they could be funneling the life force core energy and the majority of the collective's consciousness to be continued to be fed upon and to keep that their light body fields in those anti-life structures as well, so they continue to support the anti-life Merkaba spins with the belief, with the mentality that they're doing what is right. Because of those agendas, those on the outer skirts of this hierarchical tier of the Templar Anunnakis and the Draco lineages, because that's essentially what a lot of the collective is, you know, a hybridization of this in one form or another. I mean, we're going to take it all the way back to the Ioni massacre to discuss this, because I want to go into this more. So if you don't know much about that, you can read about it in the Voyager's one book with Ashiana Dean. She talks about it, has a detailed description of it in her book. I have been feeling into it. I've been intuiting into it. And I've been connecting to a lot of the celestial source energies that I connect with, Hydra systems, Hydrobius, Ashlacea systems, and getting more insight into what I see here at this time. So I really want to get into that because it really ties into the attacks on the Mother Arc systems and an entire implant system that's really been running since the Lemurian Holocaust. Okay, so we are extensively implanted, you guys. The amount of implants that we have that we're up against is insane. There are three major implant network systems according to three major seeded timelines that I'm currently aware of and defining more every single day. So I'm going to break that down more with you guys in this video today. I'm going to recap what I was talking about from the last 666 Gateway Energy Update, where I said I was going to kind of go into more of the three cataclysms of Atlantis. And also, guys, sorry, it's really hot outside right now. I wanted to sit outside because you know me, I like the birds chirping and I like the warm weather and I like to just, you know, get out of the house. But it is a little sticky out here. I mean, I am in the South, so my hair is sticking to me a little bit. I have some of my juice that I made homemade, nice and cold, nice and fresh. I just bought a Nama Juicer 5800 Vitality, and it is absolutely amazing, you guys. I just got it in the mail yesterday. It was like Christmas for me. It was like a present that I got for myself. I've been telling myself that I'm going to start juicing for a really, really long time. And I think I've been telling myself that every day for the last year, and I still haven't got one. Because I have wanted to start juicing. I just was waiting till I felt like committed to it, because I want to make sure that I do it, at least be making juice 3 times a week to have juice, fresh juice to drink all the time throughout the week. So the first thing that I did was I did lemons, strawberries, and limes, and I just mixed it with some water to dilute the lemon juice just a little bit. And it's still really tart, but it feels really good detoxing when you drink it. It feels super fresh, and I'm just in love. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys because it's so cool. I'm so excited to drink fresh celery juice in the morning, and spinach juice, and kale, and apples, and whatever it is. I got a little like a juice book that has all kinds of recipes, so I'm going to be experimenting with that. But yeah, to get back into it, so it's the outer skirts of these lineages and the offspring of these lineages that have been deemed experimental by the Holy Illuminati Eye, right? And those depopulation agendas do not negate away from these transgender agendas as well. They are one in the same. These gender misery programs, these gender fucking is what a lot of these trans activist rights call it, actually. It's distorting the universal principles and laws, which is going against what governs the earth plane. So going against universal law, going against cosmic law. And it's really because it's over corporate greed and corrupted corporations. I mean, Big Pharma makes $1.3 million on every single child that they can convince to transition. And if they can convince them to get on hormone therapy and go full on into surgery to actually change their genitalia and have the breasts removed and things like this, everybody's making money off of this. So it's turned into financial profiteer. And the sad thing is the children are essentially, it's processing them to sterilization. And it's causing lifelong permanent ailments as well. They don't tell people how damaging these surgeries are on people's bodies, and how after doing these surgeries and being on these hormone therapies, that after 10 to 15 to 20 years of doing this to yourself, it basically destroys your body and actually takes life off, or takes years off of your life. And so it's really, really, it's really sad. And again, that's why I made the video that I did talking about the inverted pride flag with the inverted chakra system and how it's anti-life architecture. And so yeah, they seem to have revealed, I mean, they've been revealing for a long time what they prefer for experimentation. It's always been the children. Okay, and it's always been the children that have been what they're willing to sacrifice to usher in whatever benefits them. This service to self, this narcissistic mental body that implanted here from Maldek, that laid the blueprint for the Atlantean timeline, essentially. And so we've been battling the mental body of war planets for a long time here. Those of us that carry this original organic, original angelic human templating, the double diamond sun templating, indigos, 1, 2s, 3s, starseeds, empaths. Okay, we wear a lot of hats, but it's just a way of saying that we respect the earth, and we are one with the earth, and we are one with the law of one. We're still repeating the same battles of the law of one versus the sons of Belial. The sons of Belial turned away from natural order, essentially. And so yeah, it's a lot, you guys. There's so much going on. And that's why I kind of want to go ahead and just define more about what I was told you I was going to define more about the other day. I was going to kind of go more into what a narcissist was and like kind of the signs that expose the narcissist. I'm getting itchy now. I'm getting itchy from being sweaty. So the narcissists, they really see themselves as perfect. Okay, they don't see anything wrong with what they're doing. Okay, they are okay. It's psychopaths that are basically running the earth, you guys. It's funny, but it's not. It makes me laugh because it's just like, is this really what we're doing here? Is this really what we're dealing with? But my gosh, yes, this is what we're dealing with. Is New Earth prophecy still happening? Yes. Are we able to still access the new Earth realms, the new Lemurian timelines, the new rising of Atlantis? Okay, the return of Atlantis, the rehabilitation and the comeback of Atlantis, right? Like, yeah, it's all about our frequency we hold inside. It's all about biospiritual regeneration of our light body fields. So you get to a point that you just become an observer of the chaos. And sometimes you go and live in the higher realms and you tune out of what's going on. And then sometimes things come across your plate or your table or your face or your consciousness, your telepathy, whatever, your primal instincts, your morality, and you say, no, I'm going to actually come back down and I'm going to be a warrior of injustice. And I'm going to start talking. I'm going to start speaking. I'm going to start using my voice because this opposes me so deeply inside that I can't just sit back and observe it anymore. And that's how we all really should be feeling right now, you guys, with what's going on with the kids. I mean, haven't we all had enough with the school shootings, innocent lives just being taken? And I know some of you are going to say, well, those are setups for this and for that, but I believe that those children were murdered. And because I feel it in my heart womb, in my Sophianic dragon principles. I feel it. Okay, I feel the pain. I feel the tears. I feel the loss. And it just outrages me. And it tears me apart. Okay. It's not just that. It's pedophilia. It's pedodontia land. It's Walt Disneyland. It's trafficking. It's abuse within families. It's orphanages. It's abortion. I could go on and on and on. It is now sterilization through gender dysphoria and the worship of biological essentialism, basically. So it's never ending, right? It's just never ending. I keep playing with everything. Sorry, it's because my earpiece is getting loose. So yes, narcissists see themselves as perfect, and they use distortion and illusions known as magical thinking. And through this, they create magical illusions. Okay, and they create a belief of a self-proclaimed righteousness. And they are control freaks. They often try to control your perception of them. They want to control how you see them. And they will go to any measure to keep that control. Okay? In whatever ways they can. That is very important to them. Very important to them. They will use projection to dump shame onto others. So because they immediately want to start bringing you down and making you feel like you are beneath them. They immediately start to try to break the spirit. It's tactical guerrilla relationship warfare that they're using on you. It's almost like they have an underlying subconscious plug to militarization tactics and MK Ultra. So it's like that's something that they almost inherently has been built into their mental plane. They have short fuses, so they're going to pop off. They're not going to tolerate you questioning them on any level. So they'll be very argumentative. Okay. They'll be very irritable. They are unable to lose. They're unable to admit to being wrong or apologize. They will never apologize to you. You will never get an apology from a Maldek mental body. They're often quick to anger. They are highly entitled, and they hold unreasonable expectations of particularly favorable treatment and automatic compliance because they consider themselves special. So if you fail to comply, it is considered an attack on their superiority, and the perpetrator is considered awkward or a difficult person. As an empath, you will feel like you are being made out to be a difficult person. Okay. And there will be all these emotional and energetic blocks with that. You'll feel very blocked all the time. And you'll be always wondering, like, why doesn't this feel like things are flowing? You'll be constantly questioning yourself, right? They'll try to make you feel like you are the crazy one. They'll even go to the lengths to slander you and make everybody else try to think the same about you as well. They're not above that. They'll slowly start to distort your perception of reality. This is when they've got a full suction cup tentacle all the way inside. So if you defy their will, this is when this narcissistic injury can trigger narcissistic rage. And they'll be very arrogant. And that will constantly reinflate itself by diminishing, debasing, degrading somebody else. They will deflate and then reinflate back up after they get that breath of making someone else feel like shit, basically. So they have these very untrustworthy ego profiles. They function from shamelessness and envy. Basically, all of the 7 sins. Okay, gluttony, lust, greed. Okay, that's basically what's, not going like biblical with this or anything, but that's really what is at the core of all these corporations. And that's, what's destroying this earthly plane, the original angelic templates, right? This is what's unplugging everything. So basically, you're trying to fill the void of unconsciousness and a lack that is separated by planetary core wounds from separated worlds. So when you are going head to head with these digressive reptilian lines, because that's what they are, that's what's seeded from Maldek, they cause injury to empaths. So like I said before, guys, don't engage with these types. And they're also expertise in mind control. That's what this is all about. Is been about mind control, and they know whoever controls the mind controls the masses. So that's what's sitting at the head of the hierarchical structure, is the apex predator narcissist mental body. So now that we understand how the corruption of Atlantis came to exist through Maldek and our core planetary wounding, we can better understand how cataclysmic events in Atlantis continue to implement control grid networks that continue to evolve off of the narcissistic templating. Okay, so Atlantis went through 3 phases. And they went through 3 major periods of inundation, thousands of years after the Maldek's explosion, the first cataclysm, which was the Lemurian Holocaust at about 70,000 years ago. This was the original dismantling and fragmentation, separating and fracturing the Lemurian and the Atlantean grids. So I did keep seeing them linked, and that at this Holocaust was when those grids separated. So the Lemurian and Atlantis grids did coexist together for some time. This was before the destruction of any cataclysm, when mer-priest kings ruled with all-encompassing compassion under the matriarchal banner of Lemurian culture with no conflict. During this time, all of the wisdom of Atlantis was encoded into the 13 crystal skull quartz made from the organic quartz crystal caverns in the Bermuda Islands. But the betrayal seeds of Maldex soon revealed themselves in the Atlantean civilization, and this is when underground tunnels were blown up in an attempt to keep Draco invasions out of Lemuria. But ultimately, it was too late, as the original Lemurian tribal genocidal attacks had already been committed. So many divine feminines' original Earth bodies were taken to Mars and Nibiru to force breed them with digressive reptilian lines against their will, and they placed breeder harnesses on their backs, chastity belts, golden rings of Saturn around their waists, which later links into the Pope's piscatory ring and even wedding bands in marriage. But essentially, they chained them to the moon to make them continue to force breed. Okay, it was considered against natural law at that time to breed outside of your genetic inheritance. Okay, so it still makes me wonder to this day if that's actually not a good thing. That we're all like expressions of this hybridization. Okay, if we were not hybridized as multiple races and lineages, and we stay pure to our bloodline, would this make us more of the original organic template, so to speak? I think so. Now, that's what keeps something a pure blood, essentially, is what it's saying. Keeping something of a pure blood. That's essentially what I'm saying, is it's keeping something of a pure blood. Because pure bloods connecting and finding like their true companion as a partner, it's easier to bring in 5D souls to incarnate into the body, because everything is aligned in harmony and in balance, in equal proportion. Okay, very mirroring, very parallel, very simpatico, very yin and yang. This not breeding within the genetic inheritance blocked the ability to create perfect harmony. So the females were essentially blackmailed and tricked into believing that if they willingly went and did this, that their counterparts would be saved. But unfortunately, they were murdered. Okay, they slaughtered their counterparts. And dark Syrian Anunnaki Melchizedek priests encoded artificial selenite rides with anti-female death screens in the North and South Americas called J-seals. They're all anti-female. And I've been saying this for a while. They are trying to eradicate the feminine presence off of the earth. Essentially, that's what they're trying to do. So these dark Syrian Anunnaki Melchizedek priests also are responsible for holding up false tales and accounts of history stating that it was the woman who murdered the men. I've heard this from a lot of dark magicians, okay, a lot of Tothian beings, a lot of imposter spirits, that they are falsifying a lot of creational history. They've been doing it. They do it relentlessly. I mean, that's what removal of the Nakal tablets was all about from ancient Mu, because the ancient Nakal tablets held the creational stories and wisdom of woman, and so that's why all of the good parts were taken and extracted and created the Bible, essentially. Everything was burned at the library, the sacred library in Alexandria. And they murdered Hypatia, who was the theologist or the mathematician of that time, who was protecting the knowledge. She was just one of the last ones to go that had a lot of this wisdom. And it was through these artificial systems that once they established them and rejected everything that was and created these anti-female death screens, then they run the reversal codes directly about the original genocidal memories, opening up passageways to allow patriarchal demon seeds to come through and up the 33rd parallel, running off of the reversal Merkaba and the earth field. When the women of that time found out about this, that all of this was taken against their will, they attempted to rebel against the reptilians, but they were up against beings that do not possess empathy. Okay, they were up against pure, cold-hearted, Maldek mental bodies. Okay, reptilian mental bodies. And like I said, they were harnessed, they were chained to the moon, they were anchored into a black hole between the earth and the moon. And through these chains, they were continuously forced to breed these digressive reptilian lines, and they began to hate themselves and hate their children, similarly to the same programs that came through and down through the international galactic slave trade, the Atlantic slave trade. That's basically how slaves were treated. Their masters would rape them. They would murder the babies. They didn't care. It was very savage, heartless, and there was no humanity in these acts whatsoever. And so this caused a lot of major trauma to the divine feminine as a collective at the time of Lemuria, that the majority of females that are a part of the Templar Anunnaki, Hydra, Starseeds, Pleiadian Starseeds, Soul Family, etc., extensions of these, still carry the original chains in their etheric bodies to this day. And this manifests in reproductive issues, creation, fracking, dark mother and dark father principles, gender misery, gender identity, and all splitting and destruction of the universal principles across nations. So, and this only is continually perpetuated by the mocking, the impersonating, and the imposter spirits against the feminine now that we see through these anti-life architectures, essentially. Sorry guys, hang on, I'm just checking my phone really quick. Something came in, thought it was important. So I've been seeing a lot of implant sets. You guys know I put the Draco seal removal out, okay, to remove Draco implants. That was from the Aryan timeline. I put out the J seal removal, and then I also am creating a new session at this time called it's going to be a Lemurian regression and implant removal for Lemurians and predominantly divine feminines, but if masculines want to do this session, I mean, by all means, it will be geared probably more towards the feminine reproductive system, but we could always scan the male's reproductive system to see if there is something that is coming down. I mean, obviously, if a male feels called to do this, then they were probably female in that timeline anyway. So, yeah, I mean, a male can definitely do the session. I'm just saying that a female is probably going to benefit more emotionally and more intuitively from it because they're more attuned to being female in this incarnation. Okay, so I've been seeing this implant system that runs according to this timeline and seeding, the Lemurian implants, which include etheric forced breeding harnesses, etheric chastity belts, etheric gag orders on the mouth, severe clamps on the throat chakra, motherhood hooks and wounds in the ninth dimensional field, moon chains anchored into the ninth dimensional field, motherhood hooks in the sacral, womb, ovaries, fallopian tubes, and our breasts. Some women have implants in their breasts. Okay, implants in the body are both physically and ethically, creating multiple types of hormonal dysphorias and allergic reactions, and putting holes in the astral body. Okay, putting actual physical implants that lead into etheric implants. Several women have clamps and clips on their ovaries, several different implant devices that have been installed in the feminine via mouth, arm, and cervix. So the implants installed from, so these are implants installed. Some of these came from the Lemurian time, and they've been very extensive for some women. And many of these implants, some of them are 100% irreversible, okay, without cutting the physical body open. As much as you work on them energetically, you cannot get rid of some of these implants. So what happened in Lemuria is still very, very much attacking the entire female collective to present day. And so it's a big deal, you guys. It's a really, really big deal. I see these all the time in people, and the need for this removal. But to carry on about the first seeding, the Mer Priest King lines, these decided to take the 13 crystal skulls at this time because they sensed the impending attacks, and they took those 13 crystal skulls from the Bermuda to the Bimini Islands through the Atlantean Road, and to transport them to Isla Mujeres, the Isle of Women, to be protected by the Mayan grandmothers. Because the Mayan grandmothers at this time were still pure and had not been attacked or implanted, for safekeeping of the original sacred knowledge in Atlantis. And it is said that these are now kept in protection in Machu Picchu. So I have a little bit of an announcement to make. I am going to be going to Machu Picchu the third week of July. So I'm going down there to, it's really interesting. I'm going the third week of July when we have the Swan Upping event of the Queen happening the third week of July, you know, with all this symbology to Cygnus, having this supernova gamma radiation coming from the Cygnus system. The 3 days of light could potentially occur in July of 2022, and I might be at Machu Picchu for the event, or I might be there holding the codes to activate it at the gate site, right? So I'm really, really excited to go down there and do some grid work. I will be doing gridding work, and I will be keeping you guys posted with videos. And I might open up a day or two while I'm down there to do some sessions. So if anybody wants to do energy work with me while I'm down in Machu Picchu, it might be a good time. Hopefully I'll have that Lemurian healing ready by then. I am working on it. There's a lot that goes into the design before I start offering the session. So I'm hoping to have that going by the end of June. And I will have that up on my services page. And I will also be sending out an email about the session. So if you're signed up to my website newsletters, get signed up to my website newsletters so you can get all of the intel and the information about this new session. And I'm getting so many messages right now. Sorry, guys. So yeah, I will probably put a video out about it too, going more extensively into each implant and what this regression and removal is going to look like. But yeah, I'm so excited to go to Machu Picchu. I cannot wait. I'm going to be staying in Aguas Calientes for a week and go to the hot springs there, and hopefully at least get up to Machu Picchu at least twice, and then do a lot of research work, a lot of meditation there, and a lot of grid work there as well. And so I can get the whole spiritual picture of that gate system. I do know that there is a temple of the sun and a temple of the moon that is there, and that it is supposed to be the closest to God, because the elevation in the Andes Mountains and all of the clouds that come into Machu Picchu are said to be the gods that come in and speak and whisper to you in the temples. So I'm really excited to go there and get activated, and I can't wait to bring you guys along with me on this trip. So I'll also be, maybe, possibly, the snakes are in the trees again. I may also possibly be doing some interviews and stuff while I'm there. So if someone wants to do an interview with me down there to talk about the grid energy, and I can give a live update, I'll probably be reaching out to Rex Bear and also Mark Atwood to see if they want to interview with me, and just, make my rounds and keep everybody informed on the gate system there. It is a Stargate. It's a Palladian Stargate. It's also a Hydra. It's a Hydra Stargate. It's Arcturian. It's it's running 12 to 24 dimensional celestial diversity. So it's not just one or the other. It's a full-on activated template down there. So there's going to be a lot of energy for sure. So yeah, so the next phase of Atlantis was the second cataclysm, and this was the original hijacking of the organic crystal systems and technology. So this is when it really started to get serious. Was when there was this continual progression to overtake and dominate the Earth through that narcissistic mental body descended from the service to self-war planets, setting up the necessary mechanics for total Earth domination. This is because at the time, the Anunnaki joined with the Elohai, the Elohim, and the Syrian blue races of Sirius B came in. They were a lot of the motivating force behind Atlantis, and the Syrians brought in the crystalline power artificial generators. Okay, the selenite rods, the artificial selenite rods, into the Earth, and they installed them in those 7 primary locations, and also assisted with building of the 24 sub-primary locations, with the main generator being underneath Stonehenge. They mainly place these all over where we have rare earth gem caverns, such as the emerald, sapphire quartz, moldavite, diamond mines. We have a lot of them in southern Africa. So what they did was they wanted to utilize these crystal generators and siphon off of the second dimensional current of the Earth, and they wanted to pull up the blue flame, basically extract it, tamper it, and use it as a directed energy weapon, similar to what they're doing now with Project Bluebeam and other blue arcing technologies that they have. They're always trying to. It's always been an attack on the Archangel Michael family. Okay, if there's 2 spiritual rays that are under constant attack, it is the Archangel Michael Collective, the blue flames, and it is the golden seraphim rays. These are the 2 that are attacked. These are the 2 that are always trying to be taken over. It's because they're trying to duplicate it. They're trying to replicate it. They're trying to steal its power, because they are the strongest. They are the most connected to God. Okay, and they try to duplicate and clone what they're trying to become. Same with the biological males impersonating females. They're trying to clone and trying to be like a woman, because they're trying to duplicate that energy, because it symbolizes power. It symbolizes something that they don't have. Okay, and so they're trying to pull up the blue flame to direct it as an energy weapon. And this also has caused a great deal of warfare on the Andromedan corridors, and the networks into Giza and the Sphinx and Jerusalem and the Temple Mount and Andromeda's Rock, and these particular earth power locations, meaning that the Ark of the Covenant was an organic passageway, still is an organic passageway system in the Earth's grid. It's not necessarily what we think it is. They're also trying to draw up that power from the Hall of Records, and they're trying to siphon from the super consciousness field of the Earth. Ultimately, they are learning the mechanics of planetary hijacking, and they've already mastered it. Okay, so that's why we have reversals running in the planetary Merkabah field. Okay, this is why we have portions of our earthly astral plane linked into the phantom realms and the shadow realms and the fallen systems and the wormhole systems. That's how that can exist. So it was in the second cataclysm that they basically mastered these technologies to hijack the planetary rod and staff over the pillars through the mother arcing systems and take over the planetary Merkabah field, the spiritual body of the Earth. The second inundation of Atlantis was all about implementing these technologies and experimenting with the quality of their technology. Many self-proclaimed righteous priests became mad scientists, obsessed with power and greed. Sounds familiar? Many explosions of the generators from Bermuda and the Bimini Islands and the organic crystal caverns were implemented to install this artificial selenite rod and sink the land bridges in connection to the Great Road to Atlantis in the Atlantic Ocean and North Americas. So I think that land road from the Bimini Islands that sunk connected the Americas. So I think America is very much a part of Atlantis, particularly from the 33rd parallel and down. And because if you look at Atlanta, Georgia, you look at all the pyramids that are down in Louisiana, you look at the pyramids that are in the Grand Canyon, you look at all of the crystal mines that are in Arkansas, okay? There's a lot of history there that connects this all together. Now, the third cataclysm was the third seeding of Atlantis. They are the ones that became the official Atlanteans. They were a root race at the time called the Anunnaki Melchizedeks, and they were the main group that actually prospered in Atlantis. They were priest, king mer people lineages that came down from their Syrian Anunnaki forefathers. So when they were defiantly interbreeding with these other races, this later went on to form the Templar Anunnakis. And this was when the first seals were installed, essentially. All Templar Anunnakis carried the crucifixion wounds, and this created a division between those that followed the Law of One and the Sons of Belial. And the Sons of Belial are groups that have rejected natural laws, like I told you before. And it's place produced an artificial Saturnian, dark tree, Quilliplith, inverted tree of life teachings. And as a result of this, we've had disconnection of the organic architecture that generates an open supply source of life force energy that in an entropic system, their DNA has become increasingly more corrupted and damaged. And the entropic means that tending to change from a state of order to a state of disorder. And that's what we've continually have seen, is this decline into a disorderly reality, okay, and a disorderly nation, a disorderly humanity. And it wasn't until the third seeding in Atlantis that the parasitic rulership officially took its throne. So all of this started to come to a head when the Anunnaki resistance came in and began to infiltrate. They took over the Atlantean culture and started to create genetic and social digression that nearly brought Atlantis to an end. Draco invaded again at this time. So they invaded in the first seeding and in the third seeding, because Dracos like to basically invade thriving civilizations. They do not come in until a certain power status has been achieved, because they are the overlords to the Anunnaki. Okay? And the underlords to the Cthulhu, essentially. And this is when the remaining seals were placed. The original teachings of the Law of One was slowly destroyed. Universal Principle and Law, destroyed. Templar solar initiates came to replace the sacred teachings. They allowed the resistance allies of the Dracos secretly to come to Earth, and so the Dracos have been here and they never left. And it wasn't just here in Atlantis. You know, like I said, it was in Lemuria. That's when the Dracos were here long before that. They came and scouted this Earth 500,000 years ago, and they went to bat head-to-head in battles with the Cassiopeans, with the Crook systems, with the Hydra systems, and also basically all of the matriarchal lineages that were here that had seeded prior to the motherlands of Mu. Draco came in and defeated a lot of these systems. Okay. And so they kind of paved the route and have been allowing certain systems to come in and create here, but then come in and take over once they have gained a certain level of power. So they're watching all of this, and they never left. They just wait until the civilization is evolved enough to take it over and invade and assert the agenda that they desire. That's why children can be experiments and they don't really care. So the third cataclysm event was generated by natural destruction and geological upheaval, according to Plato and, you know, some of Edgar Casey's account. But I personally don't think that that's the case. Basically, following the checkerboard mutations of the Atlantean oceanic grid, seems that it was probably more nefarious than what we want or care to admit to. A lot of this was destroyed through the areas of the Atlas Mountains, the Straits of Gibraltar, the Eye of Sahara, the continental shelf of West Africa, and several islands in the Atlantic Ocean. The third cataclysm event was when the cultural hub of Atlantis was relocated to Egypt. And then this was about 52,000 years ago when Egypt began to thrive. So currently the timelines are always merging. And I don't think we have ever really fully overcame the crystal technology abuse. It's just only ever evolved as per seen with the supercomputers, the medbed technology, and the AI progression to this day. The records of Atlantis are currently supposedly held in a golden capstone, a glass capstone inside of a golden pyramid underneath the water, held near the Bimini Islands in the Bahamas, next to the Fountain of Youth and the underwater Atlantis Road. The records are all rolled up inside a glass tube, and the records here will prove the existence of Atlantis once and for all when the Bimini Islands rise as Atlantis once again, which is part of the New Earth prophecy and the diamond codes that are being anchored here through the double diamond sun light body. As more of us achieve this ascension capacity, essentially, and at the rate that they are immunologically attacking the entire collective, that's going to happen very rapidly. So it's really important that we tune into these crystal caves and work with the energies inside them. This is something that we will work on when we do the group grid session this summer solstice. So those of you who want to join the summer solstice group grid work, you can sign up for that on my Patreon, patreon.com/IndigoAngel. I do believe we're going to have a really good turnout for this one. We could have an upward to 25, 30 plus people coming in. We are in the need of people who do light language and who are, very confident and in their light language, and because we love that sound healing in between locations. We have kind of like a system that we use for navigating the earth grids. We call in guardian sweeps, and we call in our tools, and we call in the light languagers in, and so we run a nice flow in how we execute clearing and navigating the earth's field. And so, yeah, we're looking for anyone that's just looking to be a part of this community and make this community grow, make this work stand out and matter and make a difference. And so, yeah, you can sign up at patreon.com/IndigoAngel on my lowest tier, get you about 3 hours a month of grid work with facilitator and with other amazing, incredible psychic seers that can just get you caught up to speed and get you doing this work much quicker. But essentially, we'll be using the internal power crystal cavern generators for data memory storage and to connect and communicate with the planetary logos and the planetary neurological system and the planetary brain, because these are cluster crystal caverns, especially the ones in the Nika, Chihuahua, Mexico area, which will activate the head of the dove and the rising of that light grid. And so this will run energy, or this will break down the polarized frequency of the checkerboard mutations through the organic ley lines, through the sacred locations, through the crystal caverns, and it will run this through the Atlantic Ocean water grid that connects all previously existing energetic locations of Atlantis. So this is going to hopefully organically break down those blankets of amnesia that are over the civilization, that are isolating it from natural connection. And all of this is going to interface with man's existence, hopefully breaking down cloaking, disassociation, soul snatching, brain scrambling, heart scrambling, and all of the mind control and gender identity distortion effects that it's having upon humanity. And what's in these crystal caverns are the same crystals that have been taken for supercomputer development, and the silicon crystal technology that's used for AI development. So yeah, guys, Atlantean technology is not gone. Nothing was removed from the explosions, from them blowing up the generators. They want you to think that things were uninstalled or it's something that's not here. They only ever evolved the technology, the artificial technology. It still runs today. The crucifixion and stigmata wounds are proof of that. The persecution codes are proof of that. The implants all in the female body and reproductive system are proof of that. The World War II killing machines are proof of that. The Nazi beast machines are proof of that. Everything we continue to see to this day, transhumanism to depopulation, is because of all of this. And they're repeating the same technology and mishaps from Atlantis because they are using the same technology to power the supercomputers. So they will fight for this. Okay, without a doubt. They will take it all the way down to the collapse and dissolving of their wormhole system. They will fight for this. And they're also using liquid crystal technology to build the cloud. The metaverse, the Metatronic metaverse, they're using liquid crystal technology to build the cloud, to upload everybody for soul and spirit uploading into the cloud. All of this is one and the same thing. So, yeah, what I'm saying is those of us who hold the codes, we can go in there as keepers of the diamond crystal core, and we can connect these consciousness units in these crystal caverns into these higher harmonic universes, and we can utilize the technologies of our chakra crystal mapping to transform it, and tune into the cosmic Christic architecture alignment of our light body fields. So this is really geared toward advanced indigo type 1 light body templating to do this, but anybody can be activated to these initiations. So yeah, we'll be doing that, like I said, at the group grid session on the summer solstice. And this isn't all doom and gloom, but it's about understanding, I guess, where the where the core planetary wounding is of all of this. We can't get anywhere unless we start dissecting the core planetary wounding. We can't heal the hybridization traumas, unless we look at this stuff. We have to look at it, and we have to decide that we're going to overcome it. The more people we have observing it, the more we're able to shift it, the more we're able to bring consciousness awareness to it. And the more observations creates ripples and waves and effects into the collective consciousness. And so it is making a difference. All of this is making a difference. Just having these conversations, just breaking this stuff down and integrating this history into our Akashic field. And living from this expanded place where we can see all of these timelines, we can see all the things that have happened, and we can choose better. And we can help others learn from the lessons of history and create a new and better world, because we're still very much connected to all of these higher outcomes, higher timelines, higher existences of higher healing abilities, higher healed timelines. And the future is still very bright, but we have recently had to come back down and do some combat warfare on these Orion groups. Okay, because they're the ones here that are implementing the hijacking. You can see how this warfare has amped up under Orion alignments. We're in June. We're aligned to Betelgeuse at this time and systems in Orion. So we are in the thick of duality at this moment. And a lot of the nefariousness is coming to light. This is what the grids being blasted with light does, is it pushes these things out for us to have to look at it and dissolve, dismantle, alchemize, transmute, and extract from the field, okay? So, yeah, guys, I love you all so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I should be going on a show with the Galactic Channel with a guy named Tano here pretty soon, so I gotta jump off. But yeah, so I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care, have a beautiful everything. Namaste.